Hi everybody, I'm Julie. The lighting's a little weird on this because it just is. It's really sunny, then I have blackout curtains, so the lighting on this is kind of weird, but we're gonna go with this. So, alright, my name's Julie. This is a video. I've already put a viewer discretion is advised. I'm gonna start with that. And then I learned this in college. When I went to college, I have an outline, that's my outline, because that's what you do in college. Right, okay, so I'm gonna be reading my outline. First thing, this video is my opinion. It's not journalism, it's just my opinion. So take this video with a grain of salt. Take grains of salt with a grain of salt, because this isn't journalism, it's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a journalist, I'm just a person who gives their opinion, right? Okay. This is a book review. It's called The Crimes of Marilyn Manson by Jahl. That's the book. Okay. Okay, the first thing I want to say is no matter what, I do believe that Marilyn Manson deserves a fair trial in general. I believe in the judicial system. I really like that show called Better Call Saul, where it's all about how everyone deserves representation. So I do believe that he deserves a fair trial, and I just want to start with that. The second thing, if you're new here, a little bit about me. Okay, this is gonna be kind of a bummer. I'm not trying to bum you out, but okay. So my name's Julie. Oh, just I'm trying to build a little bit of credibility here. Okay. So my name's Julie. I was this is gonna sound like a country song. Okay, I was born poor and I worked my way up to middle class. I'm a woman, as you can see. Turns out I'm gay, blah blah blah, whatever. Here's my little, I don't know, gay thing. And then bisexuals, pansexuals, you guys have a flag too. Okay. Alright. Also, oh, I grew up in an abusive home, so I have dimples, and I've been told I have a friendly face. So because of that, people just assume that I haven't been through anything ever. So, I don't know, okay, so this book, there's some fucked up stuff that happens in this book. So I'm a fucked up person giving a review of a book about some fucked up things that happen. Just, just remember, I'm just an asshole on the internet. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, so I was born poor. I'm a woman. There's shit that comes with that. I was born gay. There's shit that comes with that. I grew up in an abusive home. There's shit that comes with that. So just trying to build a little bit of credibility. The other thing I want to start with, I was a teenager in the 90s. I grew up in 1980. I was born in 1982, grew up in the 90s. I was a teenager at the height of his fame. And so back in the 90s, I was pretty indifferent to him. And then fast forward many years later, I was still indifferent to him. But then I read this book, and you guys, I'm so sorry. I lost so much respect for him. So much respect for him. And I want to start with that because just want to let you know I'm going to be giving my opinions. And so I'm going to give his fans a chance to bail because I'm not a sadistic person. I don't like hurting people's feelings. I really don't. It's just and I'm going to already have, as soon as the video starts, it's going to say, in my opinion, allegedly, this is just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, I'm not a court of law. Take this video with a big giant grain of salt. Take anything on the internet with a big giant grain of salt, legit, right? The reason why I'm starting with I lost a lot of respect for him, I'm gonna, even with that, y'all, I'm gonna try to not be too mean to him. I'm gonna try to be journalistic. But I'm not a journalist. I will be giving my opinion. But I'm gonna try not to hurt the feelings of his fans, legit, right? Okay, and then finally, to my regular viewers, hang in there. Okay, to my regular viewers, hang in there. This one's gonna be a doozy. Okay, because of freedom of speech, like legit freedom of speech, I'm allowed to like give a book review, right? And again, in my opinion, allegedly, and I'll have it right there. This is my opinion, allegedly. Finally, I'm not going to be saying the names of any of the victims, alleged victims in the book, which there's a lot. I'm not going to say any of their names. Everyone thinks everything's a conspiracy theory. No one is paying me to make this video. I'm doing this for free. Oh, I just want to say, the last thing I want to say. I'm not rich. I'm like middle class on the lower end, but whatever. I'm just saying, like, no one's paying me to do this. I don't make any money off YouTube, so I don't know. Try not to be too mean to me if you can. But I'm not going to say any of the names of his victims, so please don't go after any of his alleged victims. No one is paying me to do this. I'm doing this for free. And the minute I start saying some critical things about his behavior or his music, I'm going to give his fans a chance to bail. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I will be giving my opinion. Because I feel a lot of empathy for his victims. Some of his victims are rich. I still feel empathy for them. Most of his victims are poor, working class, middle class, and somebody has to speak up for them. And that's why I feel compelled to make this video. I still feel empathy for his victims who are wealthy. When it comes to these crimes, I feel empathy towards all his victims. Okay, last thing I want to say is I am 41 years old, so with age comes wisdom. And I think like Jakub, the author of this book, I think he's kind of young. If I were to guess, I think he's in his mid-20s. And just keep in mind, since I'm 41 years old, with age comes wisdom. I was a teenager at the height of his fame. I was there, y'all. I was there when he was really popular. So my perspective, I don't know. I'm going to have a perspective. You know, I was there in the 90s when he was super popular. Okay, so that's my intro about me. Alright, so now I'm going to be doing, that's my first introduction. The last thing I want to say before I get into it, I just want to say, maybe I'm trying too hard, but I just want to say that I'm like goth friendly. Okay, so I'm wearing my Elvira shirt, I'm wearing an Ozzy Osbourne shirt, I don't know. I'm wearing this bracelet I got in line at a concert. There's like a guitar on it. Yeah, so that way. Okay, so I don't know, I'm trying to show that I am like goth friendly. Okay, there you go. Alright, let's get into it. So that was introduction number 1. Now we're gonna get into introduction number 2. My second introduction is I did some research, watched some YouTube videos, I read this book. So, my understanding is he has like 3 types of fans. Okay. So the first type of fans are kind of scary, like legit. So the first type of fans are people who think violence is really, really cool. So with that, okay, look, violence, violence happens sometimes. Like last year in Fullerton, which is a suburb of Anaheim, which is where Disneyland's at. But anyway, last year in Fullerton, I almost got in a bar fight. It didn't happen, but like for 2 seconds, I almost got in a bar fight. And that is just to say, bar fights happen. Sometimes violence happens, and like, or there's like there's structured violence, like MMA fights, if I said that right. Wrestling, blah, blah, blah. There's structured boxing matches, football. So sometimes there's like structured violence, and I don't know, it happens, right? But most violence is bad. Okay. You know, and yeah, most violent war is bad, you know. War is definitely bad, and I know I pray for world peace every day, I really do. Okay, but what I want to say is, like, yeah, some of his fans think violence is really cool. Yeah, so he has, like, basically he has, according to this book, he has fans who, like, think violence is really cool, and they'll do acts of violence in the name of him. So he's basically like, he's like an agent of chaos, basically. So those fans are the scariest, right? The fans who do violent things in his name because they think violence is cool. The second type of fans he has, which are actually pretty nice people. I did a video in 2022. These two fans left, like, I had to make the video private, but these two fans left comments on my video, and like they were actually really nice to me. So in that video, I made it private, but okay. So the second type of fans is fans, they think that he is a sensitive soul. So they think that he gets on stage and he's like, grrr, because he's like goth and stuff. Oh, goth people are great. 2 thumbs up for goth people. So I don't want to be mean to goth people. Sorry. I really don't. So, yeah. But anyway, I promise that 2 thumbs up for goth people. I promise. Okay. I don't want to be mean to goth people. Okay. But basically, he gets on stage and he's like, grrr, I'm dangerous. And then he gets off stage, and apparently he lights candles and writes poetry and is a sensitive soul. And so, according to these fans. So, the second type of fans are fans who think that he's a sensitive soul. And he talks very monotone. I'm like, yeah, which is, I guess that means he has a sensitive soul, because he talks very monotone. Okie dokie. Alright, so the third type of fans that he has are people like Jakub. I talked to Jakub on Instagram a little bit. Really nice guy. Okay. Really sweet guy. Okay, so yeah, the 3 type of fans, right, the third type is people, right, okay, the third type is people who are torn, because now, and I feel empathy for Jakub. I feel empathy for his fans who lost a hero. I legit feel empathy for that. That sucks. So, now, like, Jakub and other Marilyn Manson fans, now they have to separate the art from the artist. Because it turns out that, you know, he might be like an asshole, or it turns out that he's done things that are evil and horrible and terrible. Allegedly. And so I can see in reading this book, like, he broke Jakub's heart. He did. And honestly, that sucks. Like, I do feel empathy for those fans because they lost a hero. And we'll get to that, but it's like, yeah, that sucks. That totally sucks. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so some positive things. Now I'm going to say some positive things about Marilyn Manson, just to give him some credit, I guess. Okay. I do think he's like a genius at marketing, like legit. I own books on how to market products, and I'm okay at marketing, but he's definitely a genius at marketing, right? Because like his real name is like Brian. He's basically like a dude from Ohio. I'm sure there's lots of great people from Ohio. Like 2 thumbs up for Ohio. But like, dude named Brian from Ohio, that's not very scary sounding, right? So him giving himself the stage name of Marilyn Manson, that's kind of genius. Him being like mean on stage, where he's like grrr on stage, and in his music videos, that's genius. But then he gets off stage, he pretends to be a sensitive soul, whatever. That's kind of genius. And then it turns out he actually might be mean. I don't know. So, he's good at marketing. He created this persona. In the 1990s, it would have been considered provocative. In 2024, it's, you know, but yeah, it was very evocative, very provocative. So it's definitely like he's good at making money. Yeah, so he did a good job of creating this like persona that people gravitate to. He's definitely sold a lot of albums. Like he was up there making money in the 90s, like doing really well. So he's good at he did it. I don't know. I didn't even know that audience existed. You know what I mean? So he's really good at marketing for sure. Okay. More positive things. He's really good at visuals. This book, it has lots of his paintings in them. So like he's good at the sun setting. Sorry, lighting, the sun setting. It's fine, the sun is setting. I might have to turn the light on though. Okay. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's still weird lighting, but I don't know what else to do, so there you go. It's weird lighting, but yeah, y'all, I turned the light on. Actually, there's like a cloud that went over the sun, so the lighting's a little weird. But this is kind of what I have to work with right now. Yeah, he's really good at visuals, so like this book has a bunch of his paintings in it. He's really good at painting. He's really good at creating like these evocative, provocative images, and I think like that's what he's really good at, for sure. And I think that yeah, he's good at visuals. The last thing, okay, he is charismatic, like, in his own way, like, you know, since I'm pretty much gay, he's not, like, my type, and who cares if he's my type, because I'm pretty gay, but, or when I'm into dudes every once in a while, he's not my type, but, yeah, he is pretty charismatic in his own way, if you've never, like, heard him, like, talk before. The angle, y'all, the angle. Okay. Right, so there's a lot of smart, like, goth people on the internet, on YouTube, like, goth influencers, and so I saw some goth people, like, giving their commentary on him, and, like, one goth, it was a non-binary goth person, and they were saying, like, we'll get to that, but they were saying, like, you know, why would someone, like, fall for his shtick in the first place, which I think is a very judgmental thing to say. But I think that, yeah, I think that, so there's this one goth influencer, non-binary goth influencer, really smart person. They said it, they're like, I know what you're thinking, why would someone kind of fall for his shtick in the first place? But just keep in mind, in the 90s, he was, like, an A-list celebrity, like, legit. So first of all, he's an A-list celebrity. Back in the 90s, I didn't know he was mean. I didn't know. So I was just like, oh, okay, like, whatever. Okay, I just, people didn't know he was, like, mean. And, like, regular people, we didn't really listen to his music that much. Like, even now, I know he did a cover of Sweet Dreams. I know he has that one song, The Beautiful People, wow, wow. I know that song, and, like, it's catchy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Okay, so, but still, I feel bad. I legit feel bad for the victims. We'll get there. That's why I'm doing this. Okay. Okay, we'll get to that. Right now, I'm saying positive things about him. Right now, I'm saying positive. I'll give them some credit. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, there's this goth influencer who's like, hey, I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone fall for a shtick in the first place? And this goth influencer was like, hey, look at these string of his interviews, especially back in the height of his fame, and you'll see, like, there's a certain charisma to him. So I watched all the interviews, and I was like, legit, there's a certain charisma to him, right? And so I was like, okay. And then since I'm pretty much a lesbian, not that it matters, who cares, but there was one interview where he's like totally glammed out, wearing full glam makeup, wearing this like sequin jumper, looking very feminine, and I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, now he's kind of, I guess, doing it for me in that interview, I guess. And I was like, all right, but like, keep in mind, no matter what, throughout this video, I'm just an asshole on the internet, but it's like, who cares if he's my type? But I think that's the thing. We'll get to it because I'm trying to be positive. But yeah, he is charismatic in his own way. So I just wanted to say, in reading this book, watching some videos, the goth community is really smart. It's smart. It's a smart community. There we go. That's the angle I want. Okay. So it's a smart community. So 2 thumbs up for the goth community. Okay. So with that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say some critical things about, Marilyn Manson's music. Yeah. So I'm actually going to give his fans like 5 seconds to like bail. And, yeah, because, like, I know it hurts your feelings if people say critical things about his music, and that's, like, legit. I don't want to hurt your feelings, so I am giving you, like, 5 seconds. There's, Marilyn Manson fangirls, YouTube videos, YouTube channels with like 89,000 subscribers where they're talking about how much they like really love Marilyn Manson, and that's the whole channel. And I think this is your chance to go to those channels and wax poetic at how amazing he is. Because I'm definitely about to say some critical things about his music. I'm going to still try not to be too harsh. Okay, so I'm giving you 5 seconds to, like, bail if you want to bail. And I'm not sure why you'd keep watching, but okay, I'm giving you 5 seconds. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Alright. Whew, I'm still going to try to not be too mean. Okay, so I read this book, and, Jakub at first is just talking about how awesome his music is, and music is subjective, so maybe he is, like, a musical genius. And then personally, like, I don't know that much about, like, industrial goth music. I don't even know if I said that right as far as his genre. I appreciate rock and roll for sure. There's a lot of rock and roll bands that I like. 9 Inch Nails, I think, is great. I think Trent Reznor is a genius for sure. But, okay. So with that, Jakub is, like, quoting his albums, and he's like, because Jakub was a huge fan of his. So he's like, this album, that album, this album, that album. And he's basically talking about how, like, epic and awesome his music is. And I guess what I want to say is, as like a 41-year-old, and I went to college and stuff, so what I'm going to say is, I don't think, in my opinion, there's a lot of there, and I was like, I wasn't that blown away by the lyrics. Okay, so I think in the 1990s he was evocative, he was provocative, but I think in 2024, and I'm so sorry, but I think in 2024, sometimes he comes off like a cartoon character, like he's trying too hard to be edgy, like kind of hokey, kind of cheesy, like just like yeah, like, and yeah, and in the book there's pictures of him, and we'll get to the fact, like, he actually is dangerous, like he is dangerous. But if you're not a fan of his, in 2024 he comes across a little hokey, or like a gimmick. He comes across like a gimmick. I don't know, that's where he is good at marketing. Maybe he's not a gimmick, maybe he's a musical genius, but it does come across like a gimmick as a 41-year-old woman. And and in the book, like, he is so, I just want to say, he's so lucky he has the facial bone structure that he has, because he knows how to use it in a way where, because you could say he's handsome, he's cute in his own way as a goth person, but also 2 thumbs up for goth people. The goth community is not a monolith. Okay. Yeah, you could totally say that, but I was reading this book and I was like, there's a lot of self-portraits in this book, right? So he is so lucky he has the facial bone structure that he has. That's how he made a fuck ton of money. Pardon my language. Pardon my French. Yeah, and I'm so sorry, but in this book he goes, like, he makes this facial expression. I look stupid when I do it, but when he does it, it's kind of compelling. But he goes like this a lot. I'll try to do it. I look like a fucking idiot, but when he does it, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, he does this a lot. He does that a lot. He does that a lot. Okay, I'm sorry. I try it again. I look stupid. Yeah, he does this a lot. Like that. Yeah, he does that like a lot. When I do it, I look dumb. When he does it, it's kind of evocative, and he gets to be a millionaire. Okay, I was like, okay, well, that's the role we live in. So, but also he, like, writes music or something. Okay, so I was like, okay. So Jakub's like, this album, that album, this album, that album. It's so brilliant. And maybe it is, like, what the fuck do I know? But, okay. In my opinion, as a 41-year-old lady who's not rich, okay, so I feel like his music is about self-indulgence, which is fine. It's about making a lot of money, which he did make a fuck ton of money. But I Googled it. Apparently his net worth isn't... I was surprised. I thought it would be more. We'll get to that. Okay. But, grain of salt, right? But I think his music's more about self-indulgence, which that's okay. A little bit of self-indulgence is okay. It's about making a lot of money. It's about making, which he did. He made a lot of money. And then, a trigger warning, but I already put a trigger warning in there. I think the reason he became famous, I'm so sorry to say this, but I think he became famous because he wanted to toot his own horn. He wanted to make a lot of money. And I think he wanted to, in my opinion, after reading this book, he wanted to use that money to physically torture and rape his fans, girlfriends, ex-wives, ex-girlfriends. I think that's the reason he became famous. I don't even think it's about the music. It's kind of about the music, but I think it's just about self-indulgence, money, and physically torturing people. And that is heartbreaking. And that's why I felt compelled to make this video. I don't know how long I can keep this video up, but yeah. And that's where that song, You Get What You Give by the New Radicals, that was in the 90s, by the way, and I used to listen to the New Radicals song. I used to listen to that song, like, all the time, and, or that album. It's a really good album, in my opinion, but back in the 90s, because back in the 90s, I was really indifferent to Marilyn Manson, and then, I saw him in Bowling for Columbine, and I was impressed, actually, because I really like Michael Moore as a film director. I'd never heard Marilyn Manson talk, so when I saw him in Bowling for Columbine, I was like, I walked away really impressed, and I didn't know anything about his crimes or his music or his propensity for violence. So, yeah, anyways, but with that song, the New Radicals band, he said, Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson, something back, but anyway, you're all fakes, run to your mansions. And that's what he was trying to say, and I didn't. Back in the 90s, I was like, why is he mad at Marilyn Manson? That's literally what I was thinking. And then, but what he was saying is like, hey, this guy's a hack. Like, this guy's hokey. He's basically a rich dude who goes like this a lot and then makes a lot of money. Like, he was just kind of saying, yeah, you're all fakes, run to your mansions. It's like, I guess the question is, what is counterculture? Like, what is counterculture supposed to be? I went to a lot of punk concerts. I was more into punk rather than goth, believe it or not. So that's what I went to, but goth wasn't my thing, but punk was. I don't know. But yeah, the question is, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, when I say there's not a lot of there, it's like, I'm not even sure what he's supposed to represent. Like, I don't know, I guess like rebellion, but like, I don't know. I didn't find him to be that rebellious. I didn't find him to. What is he rebelling against? He likes to criticize Christianity a lot. But like, you know, as someone who reads, I grew up Baptist. Like, I have a bunch of books on how to deconstruct religion and reconstruct it into something that works for you. Like freedom of religion. It's okay to be atheist. Oh, right. In the book, he's like a Satanist, like whatever. Freedom of religion. He can be a Satanist, but you can't hurt people. And that goes both ways. Like, sometimes conservative Christians try to infringe on like human rights, which is not okay. So anyway, it's like, you can be any religion you want, and freedom of religion is so important. So, you know, atheist, Satanist, I grew up Baptist, Buddhism, Hinduism, agnostic, whatever you want to be, like, we have to have freedom of religion. So he definitely has the right to be a Satanist. But sorry, it's just so silly. I'm sorry. Once Little Nas X is giving Satan like a lap dance in his music videos, this is where it's all getting a little silly. It's getting a little silly. Okay. And I grew up Baptist. Technically, I'm still a Christian, and like, yeah, like the symbol for evil for us is Satan. So we're like 2 thumbs down against Satan. I'm sorry, this is so silly. So I'm sorry to offend any Satanists. Jakub identifies as a Satanist. So, and I'm keeping my little cross on just in case. But so yeah, for us people who grew up Baptist, to us, like, our symbol of evil is Satan. So we're like 2 thumbs down against Satan. That's where we stand on that. But definitely freedom of religion. Yeah, if you're going to be, you just can't hurt people. You can't use religion as an excuse to hurt people. Either way, like, whatever religion. So, yeah, whatever. Okay, so, yeah, my other critiques, after doing this research and doing some videos, he exploits and is very, in my opinion, very disrespectful to his fans based on what I saw. I don't know, it's like, why would you be mean to the people who put you where you are? Anyway, whatever. So he exploits and disrespects his fans. He makes fun of his fans. Anyway, I watched a video where they went through the texts between him and Johnny Depp, and he's kind of talking shit about his fans. I was like, but they're the reason I don't get it. Okay, so, and then, there's a little bit of entitlement, a little bit of privilege that he just seems to think he's better than his fans, and I find that a little baffling because they're the reason, yeah. So, according to Google, grain of salt, as of 2023, Google, or whatever, the internet says he's worth $2.5 million. Listen, I'm not rich. My net worth is nowhere near that. Not even close. Okay, because I'm like middle class, blah, blah, blah. But I was actually surprised that sounds kind of low. I was surprised. I would think in the 90s he was worth a lot more money, but 2.5 million sounds kind of low. That actually made me feel bad for him for 2 seconds. For a celebrity, that's not a lot of money. But for us, regular people, that's what I am. Yeah, I could live the rest of my life off 2.5 million. But keep in mind, he has the money to get therapy. He has the money to get a life coach. He has the money to like go to a doctor and heal his brain chemistry to where he doesn't have to be violent and mean. He has the money to, but that's not, I don't know. Like, you know, he makes money, the way he made his money is by being dangerous, and he is dangerous, but yeah, I don't know, you guys. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and, okay, so the beginning of this book, as you can see, it's a painting of him, but I don't want to trigger any of his fans, allegedly. Sorry, well, victims, they were fans anyway, I don't want to trigger any of his victims, so I put a piece of paper, like, to cover up his face, and I also put a piece of paper to cover up his face, but, like, trigger warning, I'm about to read, like, what this says. I'm not going to say any of the names of his victims. This is Crimes of Marilyn Manson by Jakub Jahl, and this is what the book says. Okay. Oh, by the way, in 2023, I was on Instagram minding my own business. This guy from the Czech Republic, a really nice guy, reached out to me. He said, "Hey, I think you'd like this book," and I was like, "All right." So for some reason, this book came into my life, so I was like, "All right, I'll do a book review." Y'all. Okay, so I read the book, y'all. Okay, this book found me. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, y'all. Alright, so this is what the book says. I did talk to Jakub Jahl a little bit on Instagram, and he seems like a really nice guy. Okay, Jakub Jahl is a Charles University student and has presented his book's thesis at a conference on metal and religion in 2022 at Mazark University. He is a past fan of Marilyn Manson. He has more than 100 videos on YouTube about Manson songs. So maybe, here's the thing, maybe he is a genius. Like, maybe Marilyn Manson is a musical genius. I'm just an asshole. Okay. I'm sorry. He was the first Czech person to reveal Manson's abuse pre-2020. He has an insight into Manson's art, lyrics, songs, and videos, and thus can connect all the dots which women rights groups publish. Yeah, I think this book was originally written in Czech. His work, the language from the Czech Republic, his work is an integral part of the investigation into Manson's crimes, especially when the author suggests that Marilyn Manson committed murder in December 2012 and possibly even 2013. Yeah, so he is a dangerous guy. Like, once you go down the Marilyn Manson rabbit hole, he is pretty dangerous. So now I'm going to get into his crimes. Okay, y'all. Okay, trigger warning for sure. Yeah, so back in the day, he would brag on the internet about raping people. He would literally say on MySpace, "Are we raping tonight?" So he was proud of himself for raping people. He uses his money to buy Nazi memorabilia. Yeah, he thinks Nazis are really cool. He thinks violence is really cool. He's anti-Semitic. He hates Jewish people, according to the book. He says that he changed his mind. As of 2024, he changed his mind, but he's just trying not to go to prison, which makes sense. Okay. Yeah, he brags about exploiting his fans. Like, yeah, with the text between him and Johnny Depp, there's some sort of thing where he is like, "Oh, I only have to sing 3 songs, and I get so much money. Haha, idiots." And I was like, okay, so like, some concert venue is gonna pay him money to sing, which is his job, and anyway, and he whatever, I don't know. Okay, so he's like, yeah, I only have to sing 3 songs, and I get all this money. Haha, dumbasses. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. He's like mad at people for giving him money to sing, but that's his job. Okay. Yeah, he brags about physically torturing his fans. There's a show called Dinner for Five. It's either Dinner for Five, or anyway, yeah. Jon Favreau had this really great show. One time I was just marathoning a bunch of like shows. I think it's called Dinner for Five, and then there's one episode featuring Marilyn Manson, and he says, "Hey, I made a short film." And he said that one of his victims, one of his fans wanted to go over to his house to give him this painting that she made of him. So he was like, "Sure, come give this painting." And then with that, as soon as once she got there, she's like, "Here's this painting," or something like that. And then he physically tortured her. He might have killed her on camera. And then on that episode of Dinner for Five, he's bragging. He's proud of himself for being violent and killing someone. Or torturing someone. It's pretty awful. And she was a minor. And she was a fan. We'll get to that. I'll get to that. But she was a fan. So that's the part that's heartbreaking. So she thought she was gonna meet this sensitive soul. She thought she was gonna talk to this guy who understands her pain and alienation from the world. That's what I'm saying. It's all a con, basically. Like, whatever. Okay. But anyway, so there's some footage on the internet from the groupie. That's what it's called. And you can hear a girl screaming in physical pain. He talks very monotone, so even when he's physically torturing her, he's saying stuff in monotone. It's really odd, and it's horrifying, and I just feel a lot of empathy for that girl. Okay, I also keep in mind, like, that, you know, he's at least a millionaire. Keep in mind that he's a millionaire, so he has the money and the influence to, like, make problems go away. So there's some woman, I watched the video, there's some woman who, gosh, she's like kind of like a goth woman, which is, the goth community is not a monolith. I know there's a lot of goth people who are awesome, but there's this one, you know, goth woman, and she's like, I'm the girl in the groupie, I can't believe you. At this point, the groupie was made like a long time ago, years ago. But this goth woman was like, I'm the woman in the groupie, I'm clearly still alive. And she's like, it was all staged. And she kind of has that vibe. And I hope she's having a great day. Maybe she's this amazing person. But I watched her video, and it really came off like she was lying. Like, she got paid to say that, you know. She might not even got paid, because he has such an influence over his fans that he might have just called her allegedly and was like, hey, can you like blah blah blah, and then that girl and I don't know, she just looked like she was lying, like she looked like she was lying allegedly, or she got paid to say she's the girl in the groupie. Just empathy to the victim in the groupie, so much empathy. And like, not only that, if you watch Dinner for Five, Andy Dick is in that video at Dinner for Five, and he in that video thinks it's so cool. He's in the Dinner for Five episode right next to Marilyn Manson, saying yes to everything Marilyn Manson is saying like it was wild, it was crazy that he physically tortured a teenage girl. So it's just like, I mean, and the way they're talking is like it actually happened, like not that it was like staged or whatever. Okay. His crimes, he like drugged and raped one of his ex-girlfriends in a music video, and then he sexually assaulted another woman while shooting a music video. So there's video evidence of this, and he just thinks it's really cool to, allegedly, he thinks it's really cool to rape and hurt people. Yeah, I was watching this interview of him where he's bragging about exploiting a teenage girl. He's just really proud of himself for being mean. And then I saw him get into character as far as like his persona, and then I'm sorry. And then they shoot the music video, and he's like, I was like, it just comes across like a gimmick. A lucrative gimmick. It made him so much money. I don't know if there's a lot of there when it comes to art, but what do I know? I'm an asshole. Okay. So, empathy for his, victims, both women in those music videos. The other thing I think that people, miss about him, like, some of his ex-girlfriends, they worked in the industry, they're wealthy, that kind of thing, like, legit. And, like, I was watching some videos that were critical of some of his ex-girlfriends, and they're like, oh, they're just working in the industry, trying to, like, you know, help their career. Like, that's what people were saying about their ex-girlfriends. And I was like, bro, what do you think he is doing? He works in the industry. He is an A-list celebrity once upon a time. He's worth $2.5 million, which is cute. That's not a lot of money, but what the fuck do I know? But he works in the industry. He had representation. He had a manager and blah, 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 blah. He was more A-list than any of his ex-girlfriends. No offense to his ex-girlfriends, but I don't get it. Like, yeah, man, his ex-girlfriends, they're Hollywood, and he's Edge. And I was like, what? He's best friends with Johnny Depp. He's Hollywood. Okay. He does songs for, like, major studio films. Like, he made it. He's a multi-millionaire. Well, okay, kinda. He's a multi-millionaire. He owned a mansion in Los Angeles. He has all these attractive women wanting to sleep with him. I don't know, like, how is he countercultural other than him criticizing Christianity and just going like this? Like, I'm sorry. I don't know, guys. I don't know. What about him is countercultural other than his aesthetic? Is my question. And I know. Right, one of his song lyrics is like, because Red Letter Media, they recently did this game show where they're quoting his song lyrics. Because, whatever. So one of his song lyrics is like, hey, we're not a band, man. We're 5 middle fingers saying F you. And I just want to say, like, in 2024, that's a little silly. Oh, it's silly. Oh, yeah, man. That's so rebellious, man. Okay, so edgy. Okay. But then he actually is edgy. Okay, I don't know, whatever. Okay. People are multifaceted, right? Okay, so, okay, he likes to lock his ex-girlfriends and his ex-wives in cages, and that's horrible. But here comes the worst part. He makes them listen to his music. Oh, God. I'm sorry. So he locks them in cages, and then he makes them listen to his music. Like, it's so narcissistic. So he's like, okay, get in this cage, and now you have to listen to his music. Oh, that's so that's mean. That's mean. He's being mean. Okay, but Jakub says he's a musical genius, so yeah, maybe he's a musical genius. Like, what do I know? Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of pictures of like women with bruises on their faces, blood on their faces, blood. We'll get to that. BDSM versus domestic violence. We'll get to that. Okay. But bruises on their faces, bruises on their chests, blood on their faces, blood on their chest. It's awful. It's awful. And then according to the book, he threatens to kill his ex-girlfriends. He threatens to kill children. That's what he does. Okay. And then he's racist. He thinks it's really cool to say the N-word, Nigger, which is evil, evil, evil. That's the most evil thing ever. Yeah, definitely in this book he was a white supremacist. Maybe he's changed his mind in 2024, but he was a white supremacist. You got to be careful with that. Like, there's punk bands that are white supremacists. There's heavy metal bands that are white supremacists. And just want to say, white supremacists are evil or extremely misguided. Yeah, or white supremacy is evil. It's very, very, very evil. Basically, he thinks violence is like the coolest thing ever, allegedly. Recently he choked a woman, dry humped her on stage. Yeah, there's pictures of this where this woman signed up to do a duet with him, to sing a duet. And then once they were on stage together, that's what I'm saying, like, your job is to sing songs. Just sing the songs. That's it. You get paid to sing songs. That's what you get paid to do. And instead of singing the song, he gets on stage with her, and there's pictures of this. He immediately tries to choke her. He's trying to dry hump her. She's like coughing up blood. And she there's pictures of this, and she didn't know it was gonna. All she did was she had no idea. She was just there to sing a song. So. Empathy for her, definitely empathy for her. Yeah, and there's pictures of this. He gets violent with his bandmates. Like, yeah, there's pictures of him, like, kicking his guitar player. It's just weird because it's like, your job is to sing, so it's like you need your guitar player to play the chords so you can sing a song. Like, that's your job. That's what you get paid to do. Why are you kicking your guitar player? Why are you doing that? Just do your job, okay? Just sing your song. Empathy to his guitar player. And there's a lot of people in the industry that have, like, yeah, right. And then there's a woman, make sure I got this right. There's a woman named, there's a woman named Tina. She was harassed by him. There's a lady named Tina. She was harassed by him and his fans for years, so she committed suicide. Thoughts and prayers for her. I'm so sorry to hear that. Last thing I want to say is what's the moral of the story? The other thing he did, the last thing I want to say is, like, according to the videos I watched in this book, and allegedly, you know what I mean, is that every time he went into a city to sing songs, he would rape and torture teenagers, basically. So he would get his fans, and he was too old to be doing this. I mean, it's never okay to do that, but he would let his fans come backstage, and these are like 14, 15. One of his victims was 12, allegedly, but he would get his victims to come backstage. These are fans of his. These are goth kids, vulnerable. He would get his fans to come backstage, and then once they're backstage, he would rape them or torture. By the way, this is like, he would rape and torture teenage girls, and he would also torture teenage boys, like put them in these weird torture devices, according to the videos and books I read. So, every time he went into a city, he would rape and torture his fans, according to this book. And the bass player for Limp Bizkit, like, he said that he went on tour with him and said, like, hey, this guy's, like, he said he's definitely, you can Google it, but he's definitely, has some problems and that kind of thing. So there are people who have worked with him that have, there's a lot of people who have said he's like, can be kind of mean. Listen, what's the moral of the story? And then my conclusion, I'm going to be really nice to his victims. Okay, so the moral of the story is that rape is bad and evil. It's really, really bad and evil. And so making love is good, and at least consensual sex, that's great. but rape is bad and evil. The second moral of the story is being mean and sadistic is bad. So there's like being a badass versus being an asshole. And I think like that's where people get mixed up sometimes. I think being a badass is awesome. Being a badass means you're good at playing guitar, you're good at surfing or whatever. You took the time to clean out your garage, whatever. But being a badass is great. Like everyone can be badass in their own way, right? Or you start a band, that's badass. So being a badass is awesome. But I think that being an asshole is not awesome. Like being mean to people, not cool. Like it's just not cool to be mean. And I think it wasn't just him. There was a time where it was like cool to be mean, you know? And what I like about 2024, it's not really cool to be mean. Like it's just not. So being mean and sadistic is bad, but being a badass is good. So strive to be a badass. And the third thing I want to say, moral of the story, is that domestic violence is bad. Kindness is good, and BDSM is a whole other ballgame. What he's doing is not, in my opinion, it's not BDSM. It's just domestic violence. So, okay, when I was in college, I took a human sexuality class. And this woman came and they gave a lecture on BDSM. And what she said about BDSM is like it's extremely consensual. So what she was in the BDSM community. It was just like an educational lecture. She wasn't trying to convert anybody to BDSM. Okay, so but what she said was like BDSM actually is it's very, 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 very structured. It's very consensual. So what she said was, what did she say? She said that, oh, okay. She said that basically, let's say there's like a dom and a sub, a person who's dominant and a person who's submissive. And also, depending on gender, sometimes a woman's dominant, right, dominatrix, and sometimes the man's submissive, so whatever, okay. But, okay, the way it would work is that, let's say your safety word is like dolphin, and you play out a scene, and then you plan out the scene, whatever that is. So then you play out the scene, and then what you do is, according to her, you'd say like green light. So like, green light means yes, keep going. So whatever you're doing, let's say that it's like spanking or whatever. So you'd be like, the person's spanking the other person, and you're like, green light, green light. That means you can keep going, or maybe apply more pressure when you're spanking, whatever. And then you're like, yellow light. That means it's kind of like a stoplight. You're getting closer to your safety word. So you're like, yellow light. Then you're like, oh, you get to red light. And then once you say like your safety word, let's say it's dolphin, you're like, dolphin. Dolphin means stop. And so what she said when she gave her lecture, she said it's actually really, BDSM is really, really structured. It's more structured than vanilla sex. So what he does is domestic violence. It's not yeah, it's not BDSM. Okay. So in conclusion, and this is where, yeah, I Googled, right before I did this video, I Googled Marilyn Manson. So, yeah, his net worth as of this year is $2.5 million. So just keep in mind, like, when some people, yeah, that some of his victims are 14, 15, 16, and he's a grown adult. Or if he dated some women where they were like 18 and he's like 37, just keep in mind that's a really big deal. Like that's a huge power dynamic, and like your brain's not done developing till you're like 25. That's science. Your frontal lobe's not done developing till you're 25. So that's a huge power dynamic. Also keep in mind, like, he was an A-list celebrity. He was worth millions of dollars. He basically had all the power in the world. So I guess it's like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm not sure how, if he's supposed to be countercultural. He's supposed to represent people who feel alienated by life, but like, I just gotta tell you, everybody feels alienated by life. Life can be very alienating, so that's just how it goes. So I think that, yeah, you don't have to be goth to feel completely alienated by life. So I think yeah, after doing my research, I'm like, I'm not sure why he represents people who feel alienated, because it's like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. He just seems kind of like a regular dude to me, who's like, I don't know, angry or something. Okay. But okay, so now I'm gonna show empathy to his victims. Oh yeah, here's what I'm gonna say. Okay, so for some reason, like, he attracts very talented, attractive, awesome, fantastic, amazing people. So I think, you know, when I was talking about his different kinds of fans, like, the fans of his that I've encountered, at least online, they actually seem like nice people. So, yeah, for some reason, he does attract, like, really, like, nice people. Yeah. And so the reason why I feel compelled to make this video is, like, I just feel a lot of empathy towards his victims. And it's just like, you feel like, oh yeah, I googled how much is he worth, because I think people miss that he's rich. I like, why are you feeling sorry for the rich guy who, I don't know. Oh, right. There's a lot of, like, oh, poor baby. Like, there's a lot of, like, in the book, Jakub's like, oh, his wife left him and broke his heart. And even Jakub's like, oh, poor guy. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. His wife and his ex-girlfriends, they left because they were escaping physical violence. So I was just like, the part where his fans feel sorry for him, that's what it is. Why do they feel sorry for him? Because he made it. He made it. He became an A-list celebrity. Why do they feel sorry for him? Like, they're like, no, he's this poor tortured soul. And I'm like, how? Why? Why is it? Once you make it, how? And perhaps that's a very naive question as someone who's never been rich. But it's like, doesn't the money and the really hot women, doesn't that help a little? And the big giant mansion, doesn't that ease the pain a little? Because, I don't know. And I know, like, money doesn't buy you happiness, la la la. But it's just like, how is he a tortured soul? At some point, how is he, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But his fans are like, oh man, he's a tortured soul, man. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't. Maybe he is. Maybe he's a musical genius. Okay. So his net worth as of this year is 2.5 million, according to the internet. And I did Google, is he in prison? And it says here that he had to do community service for blowing his nose on a videographer at a 2019 concert. So they got him on that, not the serial rape, but they got him on blowing his nose on a videographer. Man. The judicial, I do not believe in the statute of limitations. When it comes to stuff like this, I do not. I think they should completely get rid of the statute of limitations, in my opinion. I really think for stuff like this, there shouldn't be a statute of limitations. Okay. Okay, so why did I make this video? I gotta tell you, I shot this video once, and I edited it, I watched it, and I was like, this isn't quite it. That's not quite it. I feel a lot of empathy for his victims. He's basically a multimillionaire who, like, exploited teenagers who looked up to him, who saw him as a hero, exploited, physically tortured, raped teenagers. I feel a lot of empathy for his victims. His victims, most of his victims are not rich. So he's a multimillionaire who exploited poor people, and that term, eat the rich, I don't agree with that term. I've worked for a lot of rich people, and some rich people are nice, some rich people are mean. So I don't agree with that phrase, eat the rich. I don't think people should eat the rich. I think everyone should be rich. So if everyone's a millionaire, if every person on planet Earth is a millionaire, then we're all starting. I'm just talking out of my ass. I'm just saying, but if everyone in the world is a millionaire, then hey, that solves a lot of problems. That's what I'm saying. If everyone in the world was a millionaire, that would solve a lot of problems. But, okay. Yeah, so, okay, why did I feel like I wanted to make this video? Okay, I don't even know how long I can keep this up. If his fans show up and start being mean, I might have to make this video private, but I did feel compelled to make this video. Because I did grow up Baptist, and I feel a lot of empathy for his victims, and, like, you know, if you're an atheist or Satanist or whatever, I respect you, you know what I mean? Like, we can still get along. Like, I don't know, whatever, like, religion, that kind of thing, who cares, right? I respect you for sure. And so, okay, why did I feel compelled to make this video? I feel empathy for his victims who are wealthy, for sure. Some of his victims, they work in the industry, but so does he. Okay. Why are you mad at people for working in the industry, the entertainment industry? I don't know. I like having stuff to watch and music to listen to. So, okay. Okay. I had a friend in middle school. This is the 1990s middle school. I'm going to call her Betty. I'm not going to use her real name. But her name was Betty. And we were teenagers. We were 14, 15. Small town Virginia. That's where we're from. And she was kind of goth. She'd wear heavy eyeliner. She'd wear Marilyn Manson t-shirts. She would, like, smoke cigarettes in the bathroom, you know, which is kind of, like, controversial because we were 14 or 15. She would steal stuff from Claire's. I don't know if you remember Claire's at the mall. And she would run around wearing Marilyn Manson t-shirts. She was really sweet. She was really sweet. We had homeroom together, and we'd hang out sometimes, and she was just sweet. Betty was sweet. She was this sweet goth girl. 14 or 15, she'd go goo goo gaga for Marilyn Manson, and then she said, like, we were in homeroom one time, and she's like, yeah, like, I'm a huge fan of his. And she said she had a friend who went to a Marilyn Manson concert. This is in the 1990s. And he said at the concert, he's like, I'm going to become the next big pop star. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. That's a bold statement. But then he did become this huge pop star, especially in the 90s. So I thought that was interesting. So he knew somehow that he was going to become famous, you know. And, but anyway, my friend Betty, like, she was super cute. And I was this little closeted, low self, whatever. I was just fucking whatever. I was this closeted little lesbian. I wasn't out yet, but she would flirt with me, and it made me feel good about myself. So, and one time this little nerdy dude, he kept, like, kicking me. This is in homeroom. We're all like 14, 15. So he's kicking me, and while I'm talking to Betty, and I'm like, bro, stop. I remember that time. One time I said that. Just because he was being a dick, whatever. And so I that's all I said. I was like, bro, stop. And then I remember Betty being like, Julie, that was kind of sexy. And so as soon as Betty said that, I'd be like, oh, you know, whatever, because I was this spazzy little kid. But I just remember, like, Betty was really fucking cool. And, you know, she would flirt with me, and that made me feel good about myself. And she was sweet, and she was nice. And then, but she'd be wearing these Marilyn Manson t-shirts, and I'm like, Betty, he's looking at me, bro. Because, you know, he was never my cup of tea. Anyway, and luckily, we grew up in, like, small town Virginia, so for us to go to any kind of concert venue, we had to drive at least an hour, right? So, but the reason, like, I felt compelled to make this video is, like, as far as him, like, allegedly raping and torturing his fans at concerts, like, you know, like, I don't think she ever went to any of his concerts because it was small town Virginia and we had no way of getting there and we didn't have cars or whatever. Like, we were too young to drive, but yeah, man, like, I just think about Betty and how awesome she was, and it's like, man, it could have been her. Like, she could have been one of the victims. And that makes my heart hurt. And that's why I felt compelled to make this video. I don't know how long I can keep this up because his fans can be a little intense sometimes. Some of his fans are nice, like, not gonna lie. Some of his fans are nice people, but some of his fans are, like, intense. And so, So the part, oh, right. So here's what I'm going to say. Okay, legit. Like, okay, if you're watching this, I'm going to say the word allegedly for legal purposes, but if you're watching this and you're this teenager, you felt fucking alienated by life because life is fucking alienating. You thought you found this dude, like, sensitive soul musician, Marilyn Manson. You thought he'd understand your pain. You thought he'd understand your hurt. You go to a concert, you're having a fucking good time because it's a rock and roll concert, and then you get invited to go backstage because you're like, holy shit, I get to meet the fucking, you know, lead singer or whatever. And he takes advantage of your fandom and rapes you and tortures you. He's a fucking asshole. He's awful. He's awful. That's a horrible, evil, horrible thing to do. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's really, 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 really not your fault. And his victims who are wealthy, it's not your fault either. The girl who sang a duet with them, it's not her fault. Like, for some reason, I don't know, for some reason he's been allowed to be like an agent in chaos. And I just want to say, like, to any of his victims, I'm really, really sorry that happened to you. I already felt empathy for you. Again, no matter what, I'm just an asshole on the internet. But I really, really, after reading this book, I really, really feel empathy for you. Holy shit. And I'm really, really sorry that happened to you. I believe you. I really believe you. And I know, like, it's hard if someone was a victim of his violence, like, if they try to go to regular people are like, hey, why would you fuck with him in the first place? But just keep in mind, he was charismatic. Keep in mind, like, I get it. What the fuck? Like, who fucking cares what I... But I get why people would be drawn in by him. Like, I totally get it. If you do a little bit of research, you'll get it. And so you go to regular people, they'll start victim blaming. If you try to go to, like, Marilyn Manson fans, they're like, no, he's goth Jesus. He would never hurt anybody. And sometimes as victims, they don't have anywhere to go. And they're not rich. So what do they do? Right? And they're minors, so who do they even talk to when that happens? So, yeah, what I would just say is, like, this is kind of harsh. I'm just gonna say this in general. Alexander Hamilton, he said sometimes the masses are asses. That's a harsh thing to say, but as far as, like, I don't know, as far as his fans who think violence is, like, the coolest thing ever, they are on the wrong side of history on that. They're just on the wrong side of history on that one. And, okay, and then finally, I don't know how long I can keep this up before his fans show up, and I'm gonna say allegedly, that kind of thing, but, here's what I want to say. It's, like, legit, like, I'm just a regular person, and, like, I can't call the police or call a lawyer about Marilyn Manson. I've never met him. He didn't do anything to me, so I can't, there's, like, on a legal level, I can't do anything. But what I want to say is that all I can do is do a book review, and that's what I did. And so what I want to say is, hey, okay, you never know with the internet, so if there's any millionaires or, like, billionaires watching this video and you want to do something to help the cause, first of all, you have to decide, is this your fight? And that's what I wrestled with. Is this my fight? You know what I mean? I don't know. I just, but I grew up Baptist, so because I grew up Baptist, I was like, I believe that people should be kind to other people, so it's a little bit my fight, a little bit, you know what I mean? But first question you want to ask, is this your fight? And then the second question is, like, to any millionaire, legit, because actually, I can't believe he's only worth 2.5 million, whatever, okay. But if there's any millionaires or billionaires out there, and you feel like, hey, maybe this is my fight, and there's something I want to do to help his victims, I would say, like, you know, it's any millionaires or billionaires watching this, or any goth dudes, like, whatever, like, I kind of get it, like, the bass player from Limp Bizkit, he's like, you know, he spoke out, people are trying to help any way they can. Jakub wrote this book, Jakub was like, I met him one time, it was so cool. I mean, like, Jakub's like definitely was a huge fanboy, and then in the book he's like, Jakub says, I had to wake up from my dream of, yeah, like I feel empathy for Jakub. He lost a hero, and I feel empathy for the victims. So anyway, if there's any millionaires or billionaires watching this and you feel like you have the money and the clout to do something to help, I would say do something to help. And even with that, I'm not even sure what you could do. If you're a victim of his violence, call a lawyer. In my opinion, call a lawyer. It's free, and just ask them what your options are. Like, I don't know, y'all. The reason why I'm talking to millions, any cybersecurity people, anonymous, I don't know, y'all, like, if there's anything you could do to help and you feel a calling in your heart to help the cause, then I would actually implore you to help the cause. I hope this video helps the cause. I'm gonna try and leave it up as long as I can. His fans, the mean fans, are really intense. The nice fans are nice, but I don't know how long I can keep this up. And listen, like I said, I'm not a sadistic person. I don't wish him any physical harm. But yo, and as far as the industrial prison complex, like, that's a different video for sure. But after reading this book, I really feel like he should be in prison or something, or house arrest. He should at least have one of those things around his ankle, like something. And we as a society have to take a stance that, like, this kind of cruelty cannot be tolerated, right? And so yeah, if there's anyone out there you want to help the cause, just keep in mind his fans are intense, or his fans, he tricks his fans into doing horrible things in his name. And so just a heads up, his fans are intense, and you could even say some of his fans are dangerous. So keep that in mind. I don't know how long I can keep this video up, but if there's anyone out there who feels like you can help the cause, let's take a stance and take a stance, you know what I mean? Especially if you have the money to do it, you know, and you feel like it's your fight. And finally, the last thing I want to say is, yeah, thanks so much for watching. If there's anyone out there and you're like a badass, and yeah, if you're like a badass, I would say you should start a band. Like, I just want to say, like, we as a society, like, in general, I feel like we can do better than this. So, like, if you're a badass and you believe that you're this badass heavy metal person or whatever, if you're like a badass, you should start a band, because we as a society, we can do better than this. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. Last thing, I'm just going to link to some really great rock and roll songs below. Some of my favorite rock and roll songs, just so we can celebrate rock and roll, while at the same time, 2 thumbs down against people being cruel to other people, right? So yeah, let's take a stance. Thank you so much for watching. I think you're awesome. I think you're amazing. To his victims, I just want to say, I think you're 8 million times better than him. Trust me, you're better than him. Okay, but so prayers or whatever you believe in. Yeah, start a band, go be awesome. If you can help the cause, help the cause. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Julie, and enjoy the music below. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be okay. Good is better than evil. Good is more badass than evil. We can do this. Let's make the world a better place. And start a rock and roll band if you're watching this. Go start a band. Like, we need more awesome rock and roll in the world. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Love you forever. 2 thumbs up. Thank you so much. I'm Julie. Bye. Hi everybody. It's the next day. It's Sunday. Shot everything on a Saturday, and one thing I kind of forgot to say. Here's what I want to say. I don't enjoy, like, criticizing people or criticizing things, and so I think that it's just so I want to say that because that's not even really what I do on my channel, but I just feel so much empathy for the victims. It's I just want to help any way I can. And the last thing I want to say is, like, if you're like, it's most likely, like, most Marilyn Manson fans, like, it seems like overall you're, like, pretty good people, most of you. not all of you, but a lot of you are pretty good people. So, like, what I want to say is, like, it would be so freaking cool if he actually represented, like, counterculture or, like, people, like, goth people who feel alienated by life. Like I said, you don't have to be goth to feel alienated by life, you know what I mean? If you, I listened to Matthew Perry's book, The Guy Who Wears Sweater Vests. I listened to his book where he talks about his journey with addiction. That book is really good. So, I mean, that's the guy who wore sweater vests, you know, in the sitcom Friends, and he felt alienated by life. So, life can be alienating. So, but, okay, here's the deal. But it would be so cool if Marilyn Manson actually represented, you know, people who felt... It would be awesome if he was a sensitive soul who wanted to make... you know, the kids who don't fit in, right? Make them feel less alone. That would be so awesome if that's actually what his legacy was. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel good to, like... it doesn't feel good to criticize his thing or whatever. But it's just that it is 2024, and I do feel empathy for the victims, and it just seems like... at some point you gotta call a spade, right? And so I just think it's like you gotta see through the BS. That's kind of what I'm saying. And so yeah, so if you were like a fan of his music or that kind of thing, Jakub seems like a nice guy, like legit, you know. And and you can see Jakub getting more and more disappointed. Like, listen, maybe once upon a time Marilyn Manson was like this sensitive soul, and then the money, although there's a story of him like throwing something at his mom's face and causing her to bleed, so it sounds like he might have been born with something in his brain where he has some sort of propensity for violence, like whatever. But if you listen to his music and you more identified with the part where it's like, oh, I feel alienated by life, like I get that, like, you know what I'm saying, like, I totally get it. So it doesn't make you a bad person if you identified with his image or his music, like, that's okay. Like I said, I did say his images are very provocative, very evocative. He's definitely really good at the visuals. So it's okay if he made you feel less alone in the world. Like, that's legit. That's totally legit. You know, and so I feel empathy for Jakub, but it's just that at some point I have to call a spade, and it's like I have to show more empathy for his alleged victims than for, you know, his fans who go goo goo gaga for his music. And I think that at some point one of these things is more important than the other. And I think basically you just have to decide as far as separating the art from the artist. That's what everyone has to decide when they're deciding what art they're going to engage in, like, legit. Like, sometimes, anyway, like, we all have to do that, right? I was never this huge fan of his music, so I didn't lose a hero because, you know, I was never really that into his music. So it's not as much of an emotional journey for me as it is for Jakub, as it is for his fans. But I think that Jakub's on the right side of history, and somebody has to advocate for his victims, alleged victims, because there's a lot of them. Right, in the book, like, there's supposedly, like, you know, 50, 60, like, double digits as far as his victims. So, allegedly. So it's like, somebody has to stand up for them, you know. So, that's what I want to say, like, you know, I wish he was this awesome counterculture hero. It's just, yeah, it just seems like maybe that's not so much the case. Yeah. So, but I'm going to end this video with, like, a list of really great rock and roll songs that I think are awesome. So there's just, I don't know too much about industrial goth music, but if I'm even saying those words correctly, but at least I'm going to put a list of rock and roll songs below that I think are good for what it's worth as a random asshole on the internet. Okay. Alright, thanks so much for watching. You're awesome. Yeah. Bye.